Shalom, shalom. Thank you for joining me this morning for another devotion. And today's devotion is on Luke 12, 28 to 30. Let God clothe you. Let's get into it. Luke 12, 28 to 30. And why do you worry about clothes? Consider how the lilies of the field grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his glory was adorned like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today, and tomorrow thrown into the furnace, will he not much more clothe you? O ye of little faith. We get up every day and we labor and we spin. Some people call it sowing, and rightfully so, because Paul says in 2 Thessalonians, if you don't work, you don't eat. It may seem that Paul is contradicting Jesus here, but they are teaching two different principles. Jesus is not telling us not to work. He's telling us not to worry. He's telling us that what we will reap is not necessarily measured by how we sow. He's also telling us that what we sow is not nearly as valuable as what he gives. We see here that the lilies neither labor or spin, and yet, it is this and yet we need to focus on here in this passage. And yet, none of your earthly wealth you can produce or attain can measure up to what the Lord provides for you. Solomon asked for wisdom and knowledge, and God commended him for not asking what other kings may have asked for: riches, power, long life. God tells him that since you have not asked for these things, I will provide them. Solomon, however, decided to accumulate them on his own. Solomon's glory was promised by God, but Solomon decided to build it for himself, and he later comes to lament it all and see it as vanity. Whereas the lilies of the field, they are arrayed by the glory of God. And because they have no part to play in this array, their glory comes from God alone as he sees fit. The principle is to trust God to array us with his glory, which is far more glorious than what we can reap in earthly treasures from our own efforts. Perhaps Isaiah 61, 10 through 11 can give us a clearer picture, and it reads like this. For he has clothed me with garments of salvation and arrayed me in a robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom adorns his head like a priest, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the soil makes the young plant come up and garden causes seeds to grow, so the sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up before all the nations. Let your life spring up righteousness and praise before all the nations, and trust God to do it. Shalom, shalom. Live well in Christ. God bless.